Welcome back to the Las Vegas Convention Center. Mark Thompson, Matt Hetherington, ready for another exciting matchup here in the round of 32 in the men's singles of the 2017 U.S. Open. And a real treat here, Matt Hetherington. We get last year's finalist Bob Chen taking on one of his club mates, Jiwei Shu, here in the round of 32. Of course, Chen makes it all the way to the finals last year, and Wang Wei ended up winning that. But I'm sure that he wouldn't mind making that trip one more time over to the Foundry on Thursday night.
Yeah, and he's one of a small group of players that's really had a strong focus on trying to win the U.S. Open Championships. That kind of core group, his teammate Tao Wen-Zhang, and also Wang Jinshen. Of course, last year he wasn't able to win the title, his two other friends were the U.S. Open champions in 2014 and 2015. So definitely last year he was looking to win that title. I felt when I was watching that match, when I was there live at the Foundry, maybe he was a little bit nervous, and the occasion got the better of him. Usually a lot of Chinese players are a little bit stronger against defenders. I mean, Wang Wei, great experienced player and a lot of international accolades. So it was a tough match for him. But no doubt this year Bob Chen will definitely be looking to get back into that final and have another shot at winning the U.S. Open.
What are the strengths of Bob Chen's game?
He's a very, very consistent player. He doesn't necessarily play with a lot of power. He just returns a lot of balls on the table, and again, he's a bit more focused on placement, not necessarily on overpowering. Now, Jiwei Shu, I think, is a little bit new into the country here in the U.S. Bob and Tao Wen-Zhang, both starting a bit of a new venture, the Swan Warriors Table Tennis Club, out in Sunnyvale, California. And I believe Jiwei Shu is now one of the training partners there. So it will be very interesting to see how Shu manages in this match.
Right now it's 1-1 in game one. Bob Chen and Jiwei Shu. Chen with the serve. Good job of firing that forehand into the elbow of Shu. He was able to get it back on the table, but on the second effort, Bob Chen didn't miss.
Yeah, you're not likely to see much missing from Bob Chen. He's, well, okay, never mind.
Strike that.
Usually, he's a very steady player. Maybe it'll take him the first game to get into it, but on so many occasions, we've seen him be very, very steady and stable, composed. And you'll even notice after that first point where he attacked with the forehand, doesn't really overpower his opponent.
Shu warned for covering the ball with his hand as he prior to tossing it up. Now he looks to the umpire and says that's good. And he capitalizes on the point as well and takes a 3-2 lead here in game one.
Looks like the ball dropped quite a lot there when Bob Chen struck the ball. Stepped around and straight down into the net.
Chen with the serve goes wide to the left side of the table. Nice little drop shot right on that front corner on the backhand side for Shu. Difficult ball to handle. Had to step up to try to keep it in play.
Doesn't quite step into position there. A little bit slow to start here, Bob Chen. A few unforced errors. He has had a couple of surprise losses across 2007. Bob Chen, of course, at one point, and still remains one of the higher rated players in the country. Still over 2,700. But at the Hawkeye Open in Iowa, lost in the semifinal to Zhang Yiqi. And I think also at one tournament across in California, he lost to Krish Avari, which was quite a stunning upset, as I believe he was actually a training partner for Krish at one point.
Now at 4-6 with the serve, Bob Chen.
And another unforced error from Bob Chen.
So quite as sharp as we might see him as this match progresses, but he's used that drop serve on the forehand side repeatedly here. See if he sticks with it. Another error by Chen, and now finds himself trailing by a score of 8-4. And the serve shifting over to Jiwei Xu.
Came across and played a nice inside out backhand flip. Then missed the follow-up.
Yeah, Xu did a good job getting to that ball.
So Bob Chen struggling to get started here, trailing by 4 points in game one. It's also a player who was in some relatively strong divisions in China when he was playing. Comes from the same club as Zhang Jike, the Shandong Luneng club.
And that does it for game one. And of course, Bob Chen falls in game one, 5-11, but he did earn his way all the way to the finals last season of the U.S. Open. I think we've got a clip of Bob Chen's performance that night.
So a quick look there at the deciding moments of last year's men's singles final. Bob Chen not able to overcome the might of defender Wang Wei. And he will hold on to those memories for sure. And I'm sure they'll be driving behind him to try and get him to the finish line this year. Although, as we've seen already in these last 32 matches and even the previous round, there's a lot of strong competition in the draw here at the US Open in Las Vegas. So very much one match at a time for all of these players.
And Bob Chen picks up the first point of game two, down 1-0. A relatively convincing win in game one for Jiwei Xu. Oh, nice strong shot that time. The forehand loop by Xu deep to the backhand corner, and Chen couldn't come out with it. 1-1, and the serve shifting over to Xu.
Definitely looks like Jiwei Xu puts a little bit more acceleration, power, and spin on the ball, which is an area of difficulty for Bob Chen. He tends to play softer when his opponent attacks. So that gives Xu a chance to follow up on his opening shots. If he gets a bit of rhythm and builds some momentum, It could be quite dangerous for Bob Chen.
Very interesting serve that time by Chen with speed to the backhand corner. Difficult play to make. And you can tell from that point the aggressor was clearly Chen on that point.
Nice, consistent backhand opening there from Bob Chen. It's a good sign for him.
Jiwei Shu comes over and towels off. You could tell that the tenor of the last couple of points a little different. Chen a little bit more on his toes, a little bit more aggressive. Let's see if he can continue that here against Jiwei Shu, who now has the serve 2-4. Great rally that time.
Nice angles from Bob Chen. Went out wide to the forehand.
Shu had some answers in that sequence, but you could tell he was way off the table and on the defensive on that point. Now down 2-5.
Interesting to see both players opting to get straight into the rally by choosing to serve a lot more long and fast this game.
See how Chen serves here. He's had a couple of long, fast, effective serves with the backhand side. Tried to come to the short forehand serve, but it caught the net. Let serve. 6-2, Chen. Game 2. Same thing. Good backhand loop that time by Chen. Had pace off the edge of the paddle for Jiwei Shu and up into the crowd. And may have slipped by people and underneath the stands. It may take a moment to find that one. Well, there it is. We'll check it, make sure it's
interesting to see Bob Chen hitting the net on the first two serves and then sending the third one a little bit closer to the middle. And he'll do it again.
Nice backhand flip by Shu that time. Deep to the forehand side, trying to dig it from behind the body was Chen, but unsuccessfully.
Very interesting reverse serve action there from Jiwei Shu. Was able to effectively follow up there.
Now at 4-7 here in game 2. He's up 1-0 Jiwei Shu. Shu trying to climb his way back into game 2 here. It's within 2. The serve will shift over to Bob Chen and see if he can take a more aggressive posture. He's had luck with that long, fast serve, but he's used it only intermittently.
Nice play there from Bob Chen, upping the ante a little bit. He added a bit more power to that ball.
Despite being off the table that time, Shu did a good job of holding his ground and returning a couple of nice forehands from Chen. Kind of a mishit by Chen there. Now at 8-6 or 6-8, the serve comes across to Jiwei Shu. Got his Swan Warriors t-shirt. He's wearing the yellow version. And you've got Bob Chen wearing the black version.
Goes for that full circular motion again for the reverse serve.
Now within 1. Shu with the serve. Was well positioned to tight to the elbow that time. by Shu, who's been on his game here in the early going.
And another effective reverse serve there from Jiwei Shu. Draws the match, or the game rather, at 8-8. Good chance here for him to go up 2-0.
Yeah, this is an important moment, I would say, for Bob Chen. He's been in control of this game, but now he's even down a game. You're in game 2.
And off the top edge, Bob Chen mishits that one off the end. It's a good start to the rally. Changed the direction really nicely and went out across court.
Shu for the first time in this game has a lead. Chen serving at 8-9.
And off the net, it's Jiwei Shu getting a bit of luck there. And a game point for him now.
That does it. So in come from behind fashion in game 2, Jiwei Shu now leading over last year's finalist, Bob Chen, 11-5, 11-8. And that's a game where Shu really would look like he was down and that the aggressor in the match was Bob Chen. But unfortunately for Chen, he just doesn't look that sharp to this point. He's missed a lot of shots that you would anticipate a player of his caliber would be able to land.
Yeah, especially on his forehand side. I think in the middle of the table, he's been a little bit slow to react. He did catch a few unlucky breaks where he had to try and pick the ball up with his forehand off the net, and he wasn't successful in winning those points. So there was a tiny bit of luck playing in Jiwei's favor. But at the end of the day, right now, he's facing a 2-0 deficit, and he's really going to have to try and step up his game.
Long and fast serve start off that time by Jiwei Shu, but a good answer from Bob Chen, who takes a 1-0 lead here in game 3 of this round of 32 matchup between two clubmates, California. Bob Chen and Jiwei Shu serving down a point here in game 3. Good play that time by Chen.
Yeah, he did well to catch the ball a little bit earlier there. Seeing that Shu was slightly back from the table. Took the ball straight off the bounce.
Going inside out. Shot by Shu to the backhand side, and Chen had a nice answer for that. Drove it down the forehand side for a winner. Now takes a 2-0 lead here in game 3. 2 aggressive shots for winners here in the early going of game 3 for Bob Chen. There's the long and fast serve, which has seemed to be the more effective serve thus far for Bob Chen, who now leads 4-0.
And the reverse serve goes a little bit longer than Jiwei Shu might have been planning. Good anticipation by Bob Chen.
A good job of stepping around on that shot.
Right now, it's going to be very important for Chen to make sure he doesn't let any unnecessary errors slip in. 5-1, this is really a lead that he won't want to give up. Needs to keep this four-point buffer, or maybe even extend it.
And a fault serve that time. It was going long and went over the edge of the table. Can ill afford that at this moment.
And a lot of confidence there from Jiwei Shu. Very strong serve receive there. stepped in close to the ball and generated an incredible amount of acceleration on that backhand flip.
Good job by Chen on that play. I think he had Shu kind of backing down just a little bit and moving from side to side simultaneously and put him in a weak position and a little bit off balance on that forehand loop that went long. Beautiful answer.
Yeah, beautiful counter loop there.
Power low to the net and well behind Bob Chen before he was able to react.
And looks like Shu tried to chop that ball and it went straight down off his racket. A great effort by Bob Chen to push him back from the table.
Now up 7-4 here in game 3, but down 2-0. Critical
Good
game
use
3.
There. Good use there of the long reverse serve. It's a little bit trickier when you're trying to control your wrist the opposite direction when you're serving to be able to generate enough speed to serve long and fast, because you can't use your waist to generate speed where you would if you were using a normal pendulum serve. So you need a lot of wrist control and acceleration to be able to serve long, fast reverse. And a good change in placement there from Bob Chen. Nice control. He handled the counter really well.
Been impressed thus far with Jiwei Shu's movement on the court. His footwork is superb, very quick, and stays in balance despite moving around on those shots quite a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely helped him. But the speed that you can get into position really helps with your weight transfer. So a lot of players who are a bit late to the ball don't necessarily have as much power. But Jiwei Shu so far has exhibited that he can play strong off both wings, and a lot of that's in account to his good footwork, very fast to get in the right place to strike the ball.
Nice serve, and that is game point for Bob Chen. Big win for him in game 3, down 2-0. He comes back with an 11-5 victory in game 3. Much more effective serve that time and some aggressive posture for Bob Chen, and kind of recapture some momentum here heading into game 4 against his clubmate, Jiwei Shu, as two players will go over to their respective corners and towel down. And this is a match where you would imagine that if they're training partners with one another with Swan Warriors out in California, they probably have seen each other quite frequently. And you're wondering, Matt, whether, you know, when you train with somebody, whether they've figured out everything you've got in your game or whether you've got something in reserve that you really haven't shown in a training session that you might be able to pull out in a big match like this.
Well, I mean, on rating, we would expect Bob Chen to be in a bit more of a comfortable position here. So obviously Jiwei has a few tricks up his sleeve and a few surprises, and of course we'll see going into this game whether it's was a slow start for Bob Chen or whether Jiwei Shu has some more skills that he's holding in the wings, waiting for the opportunity.
It seems like in that third game that Bob Chen was a little bit more assertive, and this is a point you've made on a number of occasions, Matt, that there are certain players that really aren't that good when they're passive, but when they're assertive, the whole tenor of the game changes.
Great play down the middle of the table there from Bob Chen. Yeah, that's right. And it's not necessarily their playing style. It's an ability to change through different gears. I mean, Bob Chen, when he plays against people who are, you know, a little bit lower level than him in competition, that passive, consistent game is very, very effective, because in order to hit through him, you have to hit maybe 5 or 6 or 7 balls. But when he's playing against somebody who has more power or who's better at setting up these attacking opportunities, sometimes he does struggle if he's playing too soft. And I thought the first 2 games, definitely he was a little bit too reserved. So the 3rd game he came out and was a little, as you said, a little bit more assertive. Not necessarily being too aggressive, but just adding a little bit more in behind his strokes, even if he's in a controlling position and not in the attacking position. So, I mean, it comes down to, for him, he either needs to attack or he needs to play passively, but in a way that stops Jiwei Shu from being able to get on top of him in the rally.
Couple of strong backhand flips that time by Jiwei Shu, and now leads, or excuse me, ties things at 3 here in game 4. Shu leading 2-1 as he won the first 2 games of this match, 11-5, 11-8, and then bouncing back with an 11-5 victory of his own was Bob Chen in game 3, and now 3-3 here in game 4. Good flip return that time by Chen, and trying to hit a winner was Shu, but drove it into the net after the long serve with speed.
I think this early stage of the 4th game is really a pivotal moment for Bob Chen. If he's going to make his move, he really has to make it now and try and get a significant lead in this game so he can kind of get this game locked in and draw the game back up.
Now back to even at 4-4. The serve shifting over to the U.S. Open finalist from 2016, Bob Chen. All started with a good, aggressive, long speed serve by Chen, and then having to back off the table was Shu, and Chen was able to finish him. Take a 5-4 lead here in game 4.
Just a little off balance there for Bob Chen.
It's a good point. You could actually see his body kind of falling backwards as he was taking that strike rather than being planted and driving forward over the ball.
That's exactly right, and especially you'll find that situation when players are playing off the corner. You can just see him falling to the side, and a lot of the time that shifts your body weight from one hip to the other rather than getting waist rotation that goes from the legs through the core and into the ball. So just that small shift in balance does make a very big difference, especially when you're looking to playing attacking strokes like that.
Well, tremendous response that time by Shu. I like the decision that Bob Chen made, kind of a punch backhand deep to the forehand side, but Shu again showing that quick footwork, was able to get across and make that play and hit what proved to be a winner. 6-6 here in an important game 4.
And a super counter loop there. Did really well to get in position. Seeing Bob Chen was going to open that slow, consistent opening and stepped around. A lot of open space there left by Bob Chen, and he's going to call a timeout and try and collect himself. Knows the importance here of game 4.
Neither of these two players have a coach, at least in their corner right at the moment. But still, you're going to take a moment to regroup. There's a good example on that last shot, Matt, of how the agility of Jiwei Shu, something he's shown really all match long, is because that was not an easy ball to handle. It was up high, and it looked like to me he had to move his upper body quickly to the left to get himself in a position to strike over top of that ball and loop it back to the table. It's really almost as if you're leaning strongly to the left to open up over top of the ball. Not an easy shot to make, but it puts a lot of power on it.
Yeah, it's a good contrast also between that kind of off-balance corner shot we saw Bob Chen played, where his body weight shifted away from the ball. Jiwei Shu did a better job of still trying as best he could to shift his body weight into the ball contact.
Now Shu leading, or excuse me, it's tied once again here. 7-7. Game 4 with the serve, Jiwei Shu. Oh, good strong attack off the forehand that time. And very difficult ball to get back for Bob Chen. And now Shu has taken an 8-7 lead. And this is an important moment of the match for Bob Chen.
Oh, and a half-long serve there from Jiwei Shu.
Well, those are tough to handle right there. Right on the edge of the table. You're trying to brush the ball, and it's just if you don't make perfect contact, that's what's going to happen. You're going to miss the ball.
Nice opening and change of direction there from Bob Chen. We have seen on a number of occasions in these last two games that he's staying a lot more on top of the ball and close to the table, which makes him able to change the pace a lot quicker and also change the direction at relatively high speed. Not by hitting harder or faster, but by taking the ball earlier and just taking a little bit of time away from his opponent.
Oh, excellent rally.
Yeah, big effort here from Bob Chen.
Both players deep off the table, taking turns on hard forehand loops, and ultimately it's Shu who throws it into the net and brings it back to tied for Bob Chen at 9-9. Shu leading 2-1. We're in game 4. It's a best of 7. It's the round of 32, the 2017 men's singles in the U.S. Open, dating back to 1931, one of the most prestigious table tennis tournaments anywhere, but certainly in the United States.
And just misjudged a little bit the angle of his return there, Bob Chen. Could be a costly point for him.
Looked like he was off balance just a hair on that last attempt.
He was almost just a little bit too far away from it when he started his stroke. Big opportunity here for Shu.
Oh, and a beautiful shot to finish game 4 by Jiwei Shu. A forehand loop to the backhand side. Just a beautiful shot that time. And no opportunity whatsoever for Bob Chen to respond to that. Now finds himself down 3-1 as Shu comes back after losing game 3 11-5 with an 11-9 victory in game 4.
I think the big difference so far in this match is that Bob Chen's not necessarily intentionally playing passive, but at times when he's caught off guard, his automatic reaction is to play soft. And you could see in that last point, Jiwei Shu came in and flicked the ball, and Bob Chen's return automatically, when he was a little bit caught off guard, was soft, which allowed Jiwei Shu to follow up with a really strong forehand. On the other hand, Jiwei Shu, his reactions are a little bit more aggressive. And when he's pushed out of position or he's caught off guard, he still tries to make attacking plays. So a 3-1 lead here. And a great change in direction.
Looked like Xu dug that one right off the middle of his body, too. That appeared to be a winner by Chen off the serve, and Xu had an answer. Now leads 2-0 here in Game 5. Up 3-1. Serve shifting over to Bob Chen. Last year went all the way to the finals here in the U.S. Open, but he's got his work cut out for him if he wants to get there again.
Nice, just really, really solid topspin strokes from Jiwei Xu. Has quite a good middle ground where his opening ball is kind of a 60 or 70% pace. It's not too soft, but it's not overpowering. So a good balance of consistency and power on his first ball has really opened up a lot of opportunities for him to follow up on throughout this match. You can see again there, he plays heavy spin, usually, which comes across as a bit slower. But on this occasion, still manages to apply a reasonable amount of force behind that ball. And now, 5-1, the lead here for Jiwei Xu, and Bob Chen is in a bit of a difficult situation here. Sure, there's nothing more he'd love than to try and advance to the final again. But right now, it's looking to be quite a difficult challenge for him. His new clubmate, Jiwei Xu.
Good serve to try to claw his way back in. He has lost, Bob Chen that is, has lost a little bit of precision here in Game 5, and it's not the time for that. He's going to have to regain it to get himself back into things. There's a piece of it. Good forehand loop off the edge of the paddle for Jiwei Xu, and Chen now draws within 2 at 5-3 here in the 5th game. Jiwei Xu leading 3-1. Of course, the best of 7. So this is a critical and could be decisive 5th game between these two players. And now the serve shifting back over to Jiwei Xu, up by a pair at 5-3.
And doesn't quite move back in close enough to pick up that slightly shallower ball that Bob Chen played.
Chen did a good job of moving the ball around the table that time and forcing Xu to make some different decisions, but you're right, he just was not able to make that last step out to get to that ball dying towards the floor. He bounces back with a beautiful serve and regains the 2-point advantage now. 4-6, Bob Chen serving.
So a big fight back here from Bob Chen, clawing his way back to within 1 point. You just see in the background there, peering through the curtains, Kanak Ja eagerly awaiting his match, which will be played next up on this table against Kai Jung from New York City.
Had some very interesting matches yesterday on this table to earn a way to Buenos Aires in the Youth Olympic Games in October of 2018. Somewhat different matches against left-handers in the semifinals and finals. His good friend and compatriot Nikhil Kumar had one of the epic battles that we've seen thus far on this table. Great counter that time. The block by Bob Chen was just to finish a thought that 7-game match yesterday between Kumar and Kanak Ja, that was an epic battle. That was a great table tennis match.
So 2 serves here for Bob Chen. Probably needs both points if he can. But it's Jiwei Shu doing well there to balance good placement with fairly strong attacking strokes.
Last year's finalist right now a bit on the ropes, down 6-9 with the serve, down 3 games to 1. Oh, and he comes up with a big play on that particular point, going side to side, and the backhand punch down the line, the forehand side on Jiwei Shu.
Difficult task here for Bob Chen. Probably going to have to win both of these points against Jiwei Shu's serve, otherwise he's going to face match points. And he puts it in the net, and it's 3 match points for Jiwei Shu against last year's US Open finalist, Bob Chen.
And now the bracket's really busted in the men's singles here at the US Open for 2017 as last year's finalist Bob Chen knocked out in 5 games here at the table number 1 of the Las Vegas Convention Center. Jiwei Shu, I thought he played a great match, very athletic, very accurate during the match, and Bob Chen never really seemed to find his game against his clubmate, Jiwei Shu.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointing performance, I think, from Bob Chen. It's hard when you've seen somebody play at their best, and really over at least the first few years that he came here, or the first couple of years that he came here, we really did see him at his best, and I know he had some nail-biting matches with Canada's Eugene Wong, who's top 70 in the world, that went right down to the wire. So we've seen him play some exceptional table tennis, but I think this year, I don't know, maybe his priorities are shifting. I know that they are working on trying to build up a new club, so that's always a difficult challenge for an athlete to have those responsibilities. And we have seen him this year have some results which were a little more surprising than we'd seen in previous years. So I think there have been some small changes to his game, and he has softened up a little bit. And it just gives too many opportunities to another player that has all the foundations from training in China, and that has that strong balance of good placement and power. I think Bob Chen just opened up a few too many doors for Jiwei Shu, and kind of gave him the opportunity to take control of the match.
All right, another player into the round of 16, and it's not last year's finalist Bob Chen. It's Jiwei Shu who's going to advance in 5 games, 11-5, 11-8, 5-11, 11-9, 11-7. Congratulations to him. We've got the highlight match coming up in just a moment in the men's singles round of 32. Kanak Ja, the reigning national champion, going to be on table 1 in just a moment. We're going to take a break and be back for a big match with Kanak Ja.